So it has been a couple of days since people have gotten their hands on the Nintendo Switch 2, and of course, there are lots of videos and articles being written about the Switch 2 as a system. Now, I'm not here to tell people how they should feel about something. If you like something, you like it. If you dislike something, you dislike it. I think that's a very valid thing to take into consideration when talking about things, but I kind of more so want to focus on something I've been seeing with kind of a wave of recent Nintendo Switch 2 related videos and what the reasons are that people don't like them, because there seems to be two things that keep popping up in a lot of these Nintendo Switch 2 reviews that people seem to be harking on. And one of the things I can understand, I can definitely see where people are coming from. But the other thing I find really, really bizarre, and I don't understand it. So I kind of want to explore it in this video today, talking about the reason why people don't like the Nintendo Switch 2. If this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. Now, I am not a Nintendo apologist. I have been very vocal and very critical about certain aspects of the system, certain aspects of how the system works, certain aspects about how the games are manufactured onto the Nintendo Switch. And this is kind of one of the first reasons that I've been seeing for people saying that they're not a big fan of the system, and it's definitely something I can understand, and that gets involved with the game key cards. Because if you really think about it, it was kind of a weird decision for Nintendo to do this. Now, as you are well aware, or maybe not aware, on the Nintendo Switch 1, there were multiple cartridge sizes that developers had access to. Everything from like a 2 gig cartridge to a 32 gigabyte cartridge. So depending on the size of your game, you could put it all on the cartridge, you could put a portion of it on the cartridge, but a vast majority of Switch 1 games were indeed on the cartridge, meaning that if you bought a physical version of the game, you indeed got a physical version of that game and didn't have to require any sort of additional download. Now, there were some games, some larger games, especially third-party ones, that did require a digital download, but it was definitely more so the norm for a physical Switch 1 game to actually be a physical game. On the Nintendo Switch 2, though, instead of having multiple different cartridge sizes, Nintendo seems to only have a 64 gigabyte cartridge size, which is really problematic for two different reasons. One, if your game is super small, like a 4 or 8 or even a 12 gigabyte game, you're essentially having to pay more for this 64 gigabyte cartridge, and this game is probably going to be sold at a discount anyways, probably $40 or $50. So you would have to raise the price of that game to justify using the 64 gigabyte cartridge, which costs more money, and then people wouldn't buy